treacherous swamp witch. Remote places have the potential for encountering miracles. However, no one exactly knows where this miracle awaits, and many are simply not prepared to accept it. Something mystical happened to me when I went into the woods to gather mushrooms and got lost. Losing hope of finding the trail, I decided to move downhill. Suddenly, was that a stream there? Instead of a stream, it turned out to be a swamp, and the prospect was quite unpleasant for me. I didn't need to soak my legs, especially considering my bouquet of age, related and chronic ailments, getting wet easily and getting some complication. That's the least a treacherous swamp can do to a person. After all, one can easily vanish in it. I leaped from one tuft to another with a gaze full of despair, when suddenly I noticed a female silhouette near the swamp's edge. I noticed it abruptly because the lady stood with her back to me, leaning against a crooked tree, giving no sign of her presence. Out of surprise, I screamed, and in an instant, regretted it. When the lady turned at the sound of my voice, it turned out she wasn't a lady at all, but an old woman with a rather frightening face. Faces like hers involuntarily evoke thoughts of werewolves and cannibals. Not a face, but a maze of wrinkles, spots around a massive nose. Gray eyes gleam beneath bushy eyebrows, like sniper scopes from an ambush. My already hysterical mood plunged into the depths of hellish abysses, but then immediately rose. A brief moment of fear turned into hope for the better. After all, she was a living person, not in a position to pursue aesthetics. I bowed to the frightening old woman and said, "Hello, Mother. I apologize if I scared you." "You, it seems, scared yourself." The creepy old woman smirked. Apparently, she realized how terrifying she looked. I didn't pretend and shifted the conversation to another topic. I showed her 2 healthy bags of mushrooms that I had gathered before getting lost, and said, "Went for mushrooms. Didn't realize I strayed into the swamp. Almost got my feet wet. Don't fear wetting your feet. Fear chilling your soul," the old woman replied vaguely, after which she waved her hand invitingly, as if asking me to follow her, and confidently walked away. Initially, we walked one after the other, but as we crossed thicker vegetation, we started walking side by side for conversation. I told her about my achy joints and how I collected mushrooms, forgetting about orientation. Forest spirit lured you into the thicket for not greeting when you entered the woods. When I go into the forest, I greet the forest spirit, and when leaving, I bid farewell. Don't forget, the old woman informed. We reached the edge of the woods. I turned around, but the old woman was gone, as if she had only appeared in my imagination throughout the journey. Again, I felt uneasy, but remembering our conversation, I bowed towards the thicket and said, "Thank you for the mushrooms and the guidance." The surprises did not end there. The next day, I suddenly realized that my joints weren't aching. Later, at the clinic, they announced that my hemoglobin levels were normal, and bronchitis was not bothering me. It could only be that the woman was a swamp witch. That's what I still think, and I shared this story, not because every revelation comes suddenly when least expected. If you are a well-mannered person who treats others with kindness, you will inevitably experience positive changes, even from a chance encounter.